This is Dave Sundstrom. Welcome to another video celebrating entertainment from decades gone by. You know, the good stuff. In 1982, I was one of the first to see Halloween 3: Season of the Witch in theaters. I saw it on opening night with a group of friends, and after the movie, each one of them complained vehemently, as only teenagers can do, about how stupid that movie was. And all of them wanted to know where the heck was Michael Myers. Unlike my friends, however, I enjoyed the movie, and I like it even more now. Unfortunately, back then, critics, who aren't disgruntled 18-year-old teens with movie mayhem on their minds, were equally disenchanted with the franchise's third outing. In this lovely review, Miami critic Bill Von Mauer called the film a scrape-the-bottom-of-the-barrel movie that wanders into the realm of science fiction and becomes utterly lost. Later on, he declares that the movie just wasn't exciting enough. Truthfully, I think Bill and many other critics, like my buddies, just missed these two. Me, on the other hand, I enjoyed Season of the Witch's Twilight Zone feel. It was as if Mr. Rod Serling himself had stepped into the writer's room, tossing out anything that might tie this movie back to the first two and then saying, let's blow their minds with a completely different story. And that's exactly what producers John Carpenter and Deborah Hill wanted. They were sick of Michael Myers and envisioned a movie franchise that was anthology-based. And Halloween 3, which was written and directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, was the perfect script to kick off this idea. Instead of Michael Myers, we've got a maniacal businessman by the name of Conal Cochran, played to perfection by Dan O'Herlihy. Cochran's dreams involved the wholesale slaughter of innocent trick-or-treaters on Halloween night, and this twisted soul, well, he knows exactly how to do it. You see, his novelty company sells the #1 line of Halloween masks in the United States, Silver Shamrock. And in-house testing of these masks and what they will do at precisely 9 p.m. on Halloween night, it's been wildly successful. Kids who tested these masks literally lost their heads over them. Literally. You know, I could go on and on about the plot of this movie, but instead I'd rather spend the bulk of this video speculating about what would have happened to the Halloween movie franchise if this film had been successful from a box office perspective. While the movie wasn't a complete financial disaster, it wasn't the blockbuster hit that Universal wanted, and as such the idea of having a different story within a shared universe was quickly cast aside. But if the movie had been successful, it's quite possible that we might never have seen this nut job ever again. And while there are a couple of later Halloween movies that were alright, I've got to say that outcome might not have been the worst thing in the world. This year's Halloween Ends promises that we've seen the last of Michael Myers. But do I really believe it? That would be a big negatory Ghost Rider. But that doesn't mean that we couldn't have seen Jamie Lee Curtis again. Whether she was playing Laurie Strode or a completely different character, my guess is that we would have seen her again. In fact, on multiple occasions during Halloween 3, Jamie's voice makes a cameo appearance. I'm not going to tell you where, but next time you watch this movie, and I know you're gonna, listen carefully and I bet you'll figure out where and how Jamie participated. It's also quite possible that John Carpenter may have decided to be a more hands-on creative force if the franchise had opted to go the route of the Twilight Zone. After that second movie, Carpenter didn't mince words about how sick he was of Michael Myers. And films like They Live and even Vampires would have fit in perfectly if the franchise had become an anthology series. And maybe, just maybe, we would have gotten a follow-up movie with this guy front and center. In many ways, Conal Cochran just seems like a more charming version of another one of my favorite horror villains. Yep, I'm talking about the Tall Man from the Phantasm series. And like the Tall Man, I suspect that there is so much more to this character's backstory that we could have discovered. Also, it looks like we'll never know the true fate of Ellie, played by the lovely Stacey Nelkin. But take heart, folks, while we may forever be left in the dark about what really happened to her character, look for an update by me on what this actress has been up to in the not-too-distant future. So many potential stories, yet none of them ever happened. Instead, we got this. Not a great flick if you ask me. No Jamie Lee Curtis. But Donald Pleasence did seem to have an elevated role in this one. The thing that I remember most about Halloween 4, it was filmed in my neck of the woods, Salt Lake City. I guess certain parts of downtown look at least a little bit like Laurie's hometown of Haddonfield. So what do you think? Did you enjoy Halloween 3 Season of the Witch? Or were you one of the many who screamed with both horror and delight when Michael returned a few years later? Let me know in the comments section. And while you're at it, I would appreciate a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. And what the heck, maybe even consider subscribing to my little channel where I talk about music, movies, and mostly TV from decades gone by. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and happy Halloween.